Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the last of our BVI Market Connect webinar series. Today, we are here with Team UK. We have Lucinda, Elena, and Odelsa presenting, and I'm going to hand it over to these ladies. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm Lucinda Buxton, and this is my colleague, Elena, and we are the 𝗵𝗃. We're a small agency that specializes in luxury travel, and we only have one tourist board on our books, which is the BVI, and we're very lucky because we've been working with the BVI for the last 10 years. We've been trading as the 𝗵𝗃 since 2020, but obviously, having worked for the BVI for 10 years, our history actually goes back much further to 2004, when we were the Mango agency. And then during the pandemic, we pivoted. My former business partner had to stop work for various reasons, and we reformed the company as the 𝗵𝗃. Our aim is to work incredibly closely with our clients, and we have a lot of long-standing clients, and we become almost like an extension, building and reviewing their story so that they remain culturally relevant and we engender long-term loyalty. So I'm going to go through now. There are other members of the team and introduce them in absentia. Associate Director Sam can't be here today, and then Elena is ably supported by Sophie, the fourth picture in that you see in front of you. So just a quick UK market overview. The good news is that numbers are back to more than 2019 levels, according to the Travel Weekly 2025 Travel Inside report. That really is one of the main takeaways, I think. And then the other couple of other takeaways is that 59% of UK residents will plan an overseas holiday in 2025, which is a 9% increase on last year. And then 2 in 3 holidaymakers will travel outside of peak season, which is worth noticing for various reasons. I think the season is getting longer in many parts of the world. And then 2 in 5 will plan an overseas beach holiday. We all want to get to the beach in the UK. And then 50% of parents with children will plan a trip of 6 nights or less, probably because they can't cope with them after 6 nights. And sustainability is very important, and businesses with strong ESG credentials come to the top of the pile. And actually 25% of holidaymakers consider the impact of flying before they go anywhere. And then moving on,
so
Elena.
we've just pulled together a quick travel trends recap. So in 2025, the travel and luxury sectors are facing increasingly complex landscapes, which is shaped by a combination of economic pressures, geopolitical tensions, which there seem to be quite a lot of, and evolving consumer expectations. So we've just highlighted a few different topics. So sustainability, as Lucinda mentioned, is definitely one of the key points that travellers are focusing on, and the 𝗵𝗃 Insights report found that luxury travellers are willing to pay more to have more sustainable options. So having your sustainability practices available easily on the website to see or in room when guests arrive.
Looking forward. Yeah.
Exactly, as it's becoming really, really important. The evolution of luxury is also a key factor. So Gen Z and millennials are now an age group that are between 25 to 40, and they're constituting 50% of the luxury travel market. So capturing their attention is really crucial for luxury brands, whether that's through social media. So Instagram and TikTok are becoming even more important when it comes to trying to attract guests. Brand collaborations with luxury hotels continue to thrive. So in 2023 and 2024, there was a trend to do kind of beach club collaborations with designer fashion brands like Louis Vuitton and Chanel. And those were really popular and they generated a lot of coverage, with people particularly keen to go to these places to capture the moment. And there's also a growing consumer demand for authenticity and novel immersive experiences, which I think that the BVI is particularly good at as a destination. And then other travel trends is that demand for ultra luxury and privacy is higher than ever. So hotel buyouts are growing in popularity for the super wealthy. They offer privacy, safety, and customized experiences for guests. So again, in the BVI, you're very good at that. You've got lots of options for hotel buyouts and for private island buyouts. Villas are also really important. And I know that the wedding industry is important for the BVI, and buddymoons are trending. So this is when honeymooners book large villas or they take over hotels to extend their destination wedding celebrations with family and friends. And 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗁's Big Hotel report noted that there's a continued preference for villa and residence style accommodations because they offer privacy without sacrificing that high-end hotel service. And then interestingly, wellness has become a cornerstone of the luxury travel industry. The Global Wellness Institute has valued wellness tourism at $651 billion annually. Which is huge, and 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗁's latest trends report emphasises that there is a shift towards travel that prioritises emotional well-being. I think that kind of plays into the luxury market having very stressful jobs, and so they are really prioritising that emotional well-being when they travel.
Now, the pillars, and this really relates to how we go out to the media. It is very simple, really, and I think it echoes what the guys at the US agency have said. The pillars that we're looking for and to feed in stories about are luxury. And as Elena's just said, that means exclusivity, personalization, amazing service, and we're looking at a market that is willing to splurge if the experiences are good and once in a lifetime experiences. So don't be afraid to come to us and say we're doing this or doing that. Luxury is seriously an editorial pillar. Alongside sailing, I don't really need to elucidate on this. BVI is world famous as a sailing destination, and Elena, who brings in the press trips to the BVI, is now a very good sailor, having done a lot of sailing with media, but we will continue to push this messaging alongside all the attendant services, be it restaurants and hotels to stay in before and after sailing, and then finally family as well. They all three go together, but the kind of people that we're looking at and the kind of editorial publications that we're targeting will take, and those stats that we've just gone through back up that we're talking to families who take 3 or 4 holidays a year, 5-star holidays a year, and they want the luxury service and the style. They're all out and out, absolutely, and amazing suites where and also accommodation where they can fit in staff as well, and childcare.
So we've also just pulled together a few UK market challenges, which we thought would be useful. So in the UK market, Caribbean focus coverage is typically limited to winter and spring issues. So that will be from November to March, and that's when coverage does tend to run. In the UK, destination coverage is mostly centred around European holidays between April and October, and we've noticed that period is getting wider as climate change means that the European season has extended. We can work with this. It means that when we're agreeing editorial coverage, we can make sure that it's going to run in a specific issue, to also work with the booking trends, because I know that will be around the same time. There's no direct flights from the UK to the BVI, but we will always position this in a positive light. We feel that the journey to the BVI is part of the excitement, and it makes it feel like a more exclusive, really special destination, even if guests aren't staying in those private homes or on private islands, they're just staying in, you know, a normal hotel. It still feels like a really exclusive holiday.
It's worth it when you get there.
It's definitely worth it when you get there. And then due to travel costs increasing, the Caribbean is seen as a really expensive destination to travel to, which does limit some of the publications that would feature the BVI. But we haven't found that this is too much of an issue because the publications that we're going after are very high end.
And we would never work with a publication that didn't bring an ROI.
Yeah, so we're targeting, you know, those top tier nationals, Times, Telegraph, FT. We're targeting all of the glossy consumer magazines, whether it's Condé Nast Traveller or House and Garden, Stylist. So yeah. And then the PR and BVI partners. So we've just put together some ways of working together so that you can get an idea of how we support the destination. So we work on UK press releases, which are distributed widely to our market. We will do quite a few of these a year, but 2 of them at least will be on news from the destination. So we'll reach out to partners, and we'd love for you to contact us with any news that you're wanting to push. We will tend to send out these releases in kind of November, December time to make sure that we're hitting those what's new for the following year roundups. And then we'll also send one out in the late summer months to make sure that we're hitting those new season roundups too. We work with the tourist board on media events like WTM and ILTM. We also host London events, so whether that's partner drinks and breakfasts that we'll also will invite media to, so that you can mingle with media and get to know them and work on story angles and trips. We regularly meet with our top UK journalists, so we've got really great contacts across the industry. Media trips. So we look at hosting individual, group and content creator trips. So we'd always love for support with these. We can work on some really interesting itineraries.
This year.
We've done one this year. We did one in November, one in March, and we will be working on another one for late October or early November. And then flight support from the British Virgin Islands Tourist Board. So if there's any, you know, top tier UK media that you know well or that you're speaking to and would like to organise a trip for them and you require flight support, we can definitely speak to the team and look into organising this. We would just want to make sure that there's some other destination elements included in their trip itinerary. And what we need from you. So timely news and updates is really important. So we need to be receiving news at least 3 months ahead if we are looking to secure any print coverage. Online publications can run with shorter lead times, but if it's print, it needs to be going well ahead, kind of the season before you want the coverage to be running.
But I would say even with online, a month ahead at least.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And then up-to-date press information and starting rates. So if you ever have a new press pack, new imagery, new rates for the year, low and high season and festive, it's really helpful for us to have those on file. We do a lot of quick pitches, so we'll do responsive pitches when we receive travel media alerts, and if we've got all of this on file, it makes it much easier to pitch for inclusion with your properties. The high-res imagery I've already mentioned, but editorial style in particular is really key for the UK market. So trying to avoid images that have lots of people in them.
That might date.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anything without people is definitely more helpful for us.
Although this chap's nice.
And then, UK press trip support. So whether you can host on an overnight basis for inclusion in a destination feature or hosting for a day visit or for a meal, it's all really helpful, and we can look to include in trip itineraries. And then we've just included our email address here for getting in touch with us and for sending us any information. So I've also done a recap on some of our UK press trips and how we work. So as I've mentioned, we tend to organise 2 UK group press trips from the market each year. So one in Q2, which is normally April or May to avoid the busy peak season, and one in Q4. And then we'll also stagger individual trips throughout the year. On group press trips, we would host 3 to 4 journalists from leading UK national consumer and trade publications to make sure we've got a nice spread and that there's no competing titles on singular trips. And then we can also look to host content creators, and we have hosted one content creator trip in the past, which is really successful. And I've got a nice slide in a minute that will show you an overview of the coverage that they created.
And some of the trips are gently themed.
Yeah.
Whether it's sailing or whether it's food or...
So the most recent trip was themed around the new openings in the destination. So there was a strong news hook, but we have done trips in the past that have been all about luxury, all about villas, sailing. So including a hotel that has a marina, and then also having a couple of trips, a couple of nights on board catamarans from different catamaran partners. We take care of inviting and securing the media to attend, and the BVI Tourist Board covers the cost of the group's flights from London. Again, if there's like any of the regional airlines that are happy to support, that's brilliant, and we'd always look to work with them where possible. We do look for support from accommodation and F&B partners, as I mentioned on the last slide, to host the group, and in return they'd receive inclusion in pre-agreed destination features. We will tend to share examples of these destination features so that you kind of know what you're signing up for and what you can expect. And we also agree in advance when the coverage is going to run so that you can keep an eye out for it, and we'll always share coverage too. And then in the last few years, we've included lots of different publications, and just a sample of them are the Times, the Telegraph, Mail Online, from a national standpoint, and then Good Housekeeping, Red Magazine, Stylist, Boat International, which I know is very popular in the BVI, Aspire from a trade point of view, Family Traveller, Mayfair Times and Out There, amongst others. Just after COVID, we hosted a number of other nationals, but it does always help to have news to include in itineraries if you're trying to secure the national publications. And these are a few recent, so in the last 12 months, press trip coverage examples. So there was a nice double page feature in the Times, which was following a trip in November. Aspire, I think we had about 8 pages in the magazine following a group press trip. Red Magazine have done some really nice hotel reviews. Same with Good Housekeeping, doing a big feature on sailing around the BVI and which restaurants to dine at. And the Mayfair Times did a similar piece too. And here is an overview on the content creator trip that we hosted back in June 2024. So this was our inaugural content creator trip from the UK market, and we hosted 4 leading travel content creators that we made sure had a mix of UK and US followers, because we know that that's really important for a lot of the partners. So the group shared a lot of social media coverage during the trip and following. So it resulted in a total of 17 reels, 5 carousel posts, 196 Instagram stories and 17 TikTok videos, which were all tagging the BVI and the partners. Their accounts had a following of almost 1 million, which for the UK market is very good. Yes. They do tend to have slightly smaller audiences than the US, but they have a very engaged following, which is really important. And the content that they shared had a total advertising value of over £150,000, which was huge. So we were really, really pleased with this. And we would hope to host another content creator trip in the future. So in 2025, we've got a few different planned activities coming up. We're hosting a sailing day on board a yacht down in Portsmouth, where we'll take a few of the key UK media that we want to engage with and share news from the BVI and maybe encourage them to come on a trip. And that's taking place on the 24th of June. We're about to send out invites, and a member of the tourist board will accompany us on that trip. So that should be a really nice day out. And then we're also going to be hosting a London media and partners event. So we did have an event last year, which was a lovely breakfast in central London. It was an opportunity for key media and partners to mingle and for partners to share the news for the upcoming year. So we found that this worked really well, and it did kind of encourage people to inquire with regards to trips for the following year, and also include BVI partners in travel roundups. So we haven't got a set venue or timings for this event, but as soon as we do, we will let you know.
We do have a date.
We do have a date, 30th of October. But yeah, as soon as we have further details, we'll let you know, because that will be a good event to be involved in. And then in early November, dates are still to be confirmed. We're hoping to host our second press trip of the year. So it'd be up to 4 media and a PR host from the 𝗵𝗪𝗃𝗃. We haven't started reaching out to accommodation partners yet, but we would really love to hear if anyone is keen to be involved. We'll make sure that it's a really nice itinerary showcasing different islands and different elements in the destination so that they can get a good overview of what's on offer.
So I think really the last thing to say is do pester us. do get in touch and talk to us. No idea is a bad idea, really. And it's our job. We know exactly what will run as a good story and what might not, because we're in touch with the press all the time, and we know we're on their radar and they're on ours, and we have a really good feeling for what they're looking for. So absolutely don't hesitate. I'm Lucinda, this is Elena, and our email is right on, well, it's there it is, BVI, the 𝗵𝗪𝗃𝗃. And truly, all information is good information. And as Elena said, it's vital that we have an up-to-date library of information, because it may be that there's a quick turnaround on an editorial demand and we won't have time to check prices and so on. But if we know you, we can ring you.
Please inundate us with any information, any images, starting rates, and everything, and we'll save it in our folders.
Absolutely. And if you would like us to jump on a Teams call and give us a little bit of a presentation about yourselves, we'd love that. We really would. So as I said before, just pester us, and we'd love that. Thank you.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you, Elena and Lucinda. I am 𝗲𝗏𝗂 𝗫𝗏𝗏 from the BVI Tourist Board UK office slide, and we have a team of 4 in the office. We work together with the 𝗵𝗪𝗃𝗃, Elena, Lucinda, Sophie, and Sam. And our team in the office comprises of Mr. Kyle Harrigan, Miss Mervina Jiraiya, and Chelsea Lewis. Some of these names might be familiar to you. Some of the faces may be familiar. If we're not familiar, we ask that you, like Lucinda and Elena said, pester us so we could be a bit more familiar. So what I'm going to speak about briefly today is mostly the trade aspect of the BVI's focus in London in the UK. So we work very closely with travel agents and tour operators, and one of the objectives of the BVI Tourist Board is to ensure that the destination is continuously on their radar. And we do have some feedback in our conversations with them. We meet with them multiple times throughout the year, have conversations, phone calls, probably every week. And one of the important things that we would like to share with you guys is a lot of the consumers book through travel agents and tour operators. Because the destination is considered long haul travel, a lot of the consumers feel a bit more comfortable and feel like their trip is more protected via booking with a travel agent and tour operators. With this in mind, they also do value packages. So the travel agents and tour operators would put together these packages for them. It includes their airfare, their accommodation, sometimes meals, and also their transfers. As Elena and Lucinda mentioned, the booking window is something that is very important, and lots of consumers, they would book on average between 6 to 9 months in advance. And it's very important that we have any information ahead of time so that we can market to them, as well as the travel agents and tour operators. Some of the important things to note includes the school holidays and bank holidays. A lot of the families, particularly because that's one of our focus, they focus on traveling during the school holidays throughout the year, as well as around bank holidays. outside of the school holidays, families you'll find rarely travel because of the very strict policies in the UK regarding taking children out of school during the school term. So that's just a brief overview on the market. Just want to get a little bit more into the trade side. During our conversation with our trade partners, we've identified a few challenges. Some of them includes commission terms and the commission percentages to the travel agents and tour operators. I know it's a very touchy topic, very sensitive, but it is a conversation that we would like you to take into consideration. If you are very interested in the market, it is one that you are going to have to face head on. And there is no harm in coming to us and speaking to us if you reached out to a tour operator and would like to have a little bit more insight in the conversation of the commission. We are more than happy to engage in conversation with you and them and just shed a little bit more light on why or how payment terms might vary, particularly when we are considering the difference between the UK and the US market. Another one of the challenges is the response time. This is very important. We've had conversations with travel agents who have told us, they might reach out to industry partner based on a conversation they're having with a client, and they have a quote from another destination, and they're waiting on a quote from an industry partner. And because of the delay in the response time, they might lean more towards the other quote from another destination. And that is something we want to, as much as possible, avoid. So whenever you have these conversations with travel agents, even consumers, if they reach out regarding questions about your offerings, we kindly ask that you respond in a timely manner. If you can respond in 24 hours, that would be great. It gives them the opportunity to, speak to their clients and give them a heads up on the update that you might provide them with, whether it's, a conversation that you might have with a manager or something based on what they're requesting. We just ask that you respond in a timely manner. And also offerings. As I mentioned before, the UK consumer is very much into packages, and sometimes this includes an add-on, whether it is just breakfast or some sort of meal included in their overall accommodations. That is something we would like you guys to consider as well. So in terms of best practices, up-to-date online presence so that we are able to share your social media pages, your websites with the tour operators and travel agents. A lot of them request that information, as well as imagery. We also ask that you partner with the travel agents and tour operators. It is very, very beneficial for you. And a lot of the tour operators and travel agents, most of them, they are either a part of APTA or they are ATOL protected, which is important to the consumer here in the UK market. So although you yourself might not be a member of APTA, the British Virgin Islands Tourist Board is, or you might not have the ATOL protection, working with these travel agents and tour operators who do have these accreditation, you are leveraging your partnership with them to include the accreditation that they have. Our trade partner events. We work with a number of industry trade partners here in the UK, and this is a short list of the partners we've worked with for the year so far. For the year, I think we've participated in almost 30 trade events. So from one-on-one industry conferences to sales calls and presentations to Virtuoso. We are a member of the Virtuoso consortia. We have had a number of interactions with trade partners, and this is just the end of the first quarter of the year. We have a full schedule for the rest of the year, but this just gives you an overall view of the trade partners that we work with. We attend a number of training dinners and presentations to highlight the various offerings of the destination. We also partner with the CTO, the Caribbean Tourism Organization, and attend a number of their events to present to trade partners in the various cities in the UK. Now on to our consumer events. Our consumer events focus mainly on our niche markets. So we have our sailing, we have the Southampton International Boat Show and Cowes Week Regatta, as well as diving. One of the largest dive shows on this side of the world is the Go Diving Show, which we attended earlier this year with Miss Kim Hush of the BVI Scuba organization. And this year, for the first time in a long time, we've participated in a national wedding show, which we have partnered with for a competition, which will begin tomorrow with one of our industry partners. And it's a month-long competition targeting couples and those who are in the market of getting married. So we look forward to a very successful campaign. And earlier this year, we partnered with CTO for Destinations, the holiday show in London. And this was one of those consumer events that basically gave consumers the opportunity to learn a little bit more about the BVI. We met quite a number of people, and at all of these consumer events, we meet individuals who would either say, I've just visited the BVI or I'm planning on visiting the BVI. We met a couple who were planning a trip and they were actually traveling, I think, in the next 2 or 3 weeks. And when they returned, they sent a full email just speaking about how wonderful the destination was and how the trip was for them. So at these consumer events, they're not as much as the trade events, but we do try our best to attend those that focus mainly on the niche that we are highlighting for the year. And we interact with the consumers at those events. And then we have our industry support. So as Lucinda and Elena mentioned, and the other agencies and team members, it is very important for you to provide us with your updates. We have sales calls, trainings, webinars, we send out newsletters, and these are all ways in which you can share your updates. Sometimes we are able to scour the internet and find updates, but it is very important for you to send us information. You might send us an update today and we have a presentation tomorrow, which we can include, or the agencies might be having a meeting with a media or journalist and they're able to just speak on it right off the bat because of the update that you provided. But it's very important. Imagery and videos also important, especially for our social media platforms. We have Miss Chelsea Lewis, who is our social media consultant. She is always looking for new imagery and videos to share on our social media pages. And then for our fam trips, BVI Tourist Board does not have any hotels. And so it is we depend on you, our industry partners, to provide us with the support in accommodation, site visits, experiences, so that our guests, the tour operators, travel agents, the content creators, they're able to experience the destination. Whenever we provide an itinerary, we build up an itinerary, try our best to give a holistic experience. So from the time they arrive to whether it's a villa or a resort, to their experiences, whether it's a food tour or a pottery experience, we try our very best to ensure that the industry partners have their fair share of exhibiting the very best of the destination through their product and services. So we ask, if you are interested in being a part of our fam trips, or if we reach out to you, if you have any interest, we ask that you provide us with support if you're able to. And if not for our upcoming trips, if you have, like Elena and Lucinda mentioned, if you have any ideas of any other content creators or journalists that you might be interested in hosting, you can reach out to us and we could assist in building out an itinerary. And also our destination training. So we have destination training, sales calls, webinars in person. So if you have representation in the UK and you would like to join us, or if you would like to visit, we would love for you to bring some sunshine with you. You could just let us know your dates, the dates you're planning on being in the area, and we will make ourselves available to join you on any sales calls, or if you would like to join any of our webinars, we are more than happy to have you. Now, our BVI Luxury Roadshow, I would like to go a little bit more in detail on that. So our roadshow is scheduled for the 27th to the 30th of October, and this year we'll be having our presentations in 3 different cities. We're starting off in Bristol, then Chester, and London. And these events are 3-course dinners at venues where our industry partners have the opportunity to speak to travel agents and tour operators. Last year's and in previous years, they've always been quite a success. And so we look forward to having an even more successful year this year. And as Elena and Lucinda mentioned, the 30th, which is the last day of the event, is usually where the industry partners have the opportunity to speak with the trade and media. This year is probably going to be not a brunch, but later in the day. But that's the perfect opportunity for you to come meet the team, have a one-on-one conversation with trade and even the travel agents and tour operators. It is a very fun time, quite a busy time, but it is quite rewarding. And I think that is it. I think that might be the last slide. So like I said, if you would like to reach out to us, you would like to partner with us, we are more than happy to do so. Our contact number and email address is on the screen. And I am not sure if anyone has any questions, but thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, ladies. Thank you so much, Odelsa. There is a question here from Miss Avril Alexander. She said, Gen Z and millennials comprise 50% of the BVI market. How do you reach the other 50% and who are they?
So the other 50% would be the slightly older demographic, and we find that you reach them particularly through national publications, but also through some of the key consumer, like Good Housekeeping, which we have hosted previously. They tend to read a lot more print media.
Yeah.
We will always try and encourage editors to commission a piece to run in print and online where possible. We find that online coverage is great because you can reshare, but print is lovely, and you'll normally get a big double-page spread that you'd be included in, but that's how we would go about trying to reach the rest of the market.
And a mix of journalists of different ages and different experiences as well. So we really do match the writer to the destination and to the itinerary of what we're showing off to them as well. So it's very considered.
Thank you, ladies. We also have a follow-up to that from Avril. She said, clarify buyouts and who is that market?
So a buyout would be when someone's taken over the whole property, so whether that's a hotel or a private island, and they've just taken it over for a night or a week. That market would be ultra high net worths, very luxury travelers.
Families, cross-generational families.
Weddings, honeymoons.
Yeah. But I think very much family, 4 generations of families.
Yeah.
Definitely. Which I think started in the States and is now big over here. We finally cottoned on to it.
Thank you so much. Delma said, many thanks for a great presentation. We also have a question from ICA Marketing. Where or who should we send the content about our flights to and from BVI? we are 𝗳𝗏𝗿𝗃 Airways.
To both of us. So
Yeah.
to the BVI at the 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃 Click Group email address. And also I would say to 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗃, if that would be helpful for the tourist board to have on hand, but
Yes.
definitely send to us any new routes or any new schedules we would look to include in our news from the BVI roundups. And we can also suggest for individual and for group press trips when they're looking to get to the BVI from the UK. New routes are great. They're always a nice hook to include.
Yeah, and just for clarification, I know we have ongoing dialogue with Lindsay Barba, who represents Inter-Caribbean Airways here in the UK. Matter of fact, I was actually on a panel with her earlier today, promoting the region and our connection with getting to the BVI. So any updates, like Elena said, to the both of us would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you, ladies, again. One more question from Ms. Maduro. What are some of the best sustainable practices for resorts and villas? She also asked, what do you suggest the destination can do to extend the booking period?
Interesting. In terms of sustainable, if I can drop in here, I think it's taking a 360 approach. We have a client who's just been made the first B Corp 5-star hotel in London, which is no mean feat, really. And they the big ticks that they got was that they constantly monitor how much power they're using and try and cut power. The chief engineer is always looking at that. They also look at sourcing, so where their food comes from and best practice on that. Their linen, their bathroom amenities,
Water usage.
their water usage and recycling of the water. Also engagement with the local community, whether it's with a local school or an old people's home or helping some sort of community aspect, perhaps a library or something like that, and just sort of being good citizens. I think being able to crow about getting use of single-use practices is pretty out of date now.
It's just expected that there won't be single-use
Yeah.
plastics in hotels and
Yeah.
yeah.
So it's
Plastic
really
bottle.
being thoughtful about it, definitely, and also who you partner with in terms of people who will take people on walking tours and diving and so on, and being able to preserve the destination. So even though you're promoting the destination, it's not to the detriment of that destination. So it's about being thoughtful.
And then what do we suggest the destination can do to extend the booking period?
𝗕𝗏𝗃 might be better
Best
suited.
placed.
Well, in terms of extending the booking period, well, what I would suggest is for the partners, your offerings, if you have offerings that would extend outside of what the peak season would be, having rates ahead of time, if you could have them to match, the booking period. I mean, 6 to 9 months is quite a far way out, but having information available for, whether or not you would have certain amenities available or offerings for consumer in the extended time, that would be also great.
Thank you so much, 𝗕𝗏𝗰𝗃. Any more questions from our listeners or our viewers at this time? All right. Since there are no more questions, I would just like to take this moment to thank you, Elena. Thank you, Lucinda. Thanks, 𝗕𝗏𝗃𝗃 Collective, for taking the time out of your busy schedule today to address
Pleasure.
our partners. Thank you so much. Thank you, General Manager 𝗲𝗲, coming and addressing everyone here. And also thank you to our faithful partners and colleagues for coming every Tuesday for the past 2 months almost. This is the end of this informative, helpful series aimed at raising awareness amongst our colleagues and partners on the various agencies and markets we work directly with to promote the Virgin Islands. Please look out for recordings posted directly on our YouTube channel at BVI Tourist Board. And of course, reach out to any of the presenters or organizers for more information on some of the offerings, shows, collaboration opportunities. We are always willing to help or look for ways to promote the destination. Avril said, good job, team BVI Tourist Board, bravo. So thank you, everyone. Have a lovely rest of your day.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.